Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. I don't know about you guys, but I am really excited for this week because we're going to be doing our space badge, and space is one of my favourite things ever. So let's get straight into it. We are going to be looking at the night sky and all the things we can see up there. So I know it's daytime at the minute, but if we have a little think at night, what can we see in the sky? We can see the moon, we can see lots of stars, we might even maybe see a shooting star or a comet, or maybe even some other planets. But what are they and what are they doing in space? Well, in order to really understand space, the first thing that we need to know about is gravity. And gravity is a force of nature. It happens everywhere. And what gravity does is it basically pulls things together. And the bigger something is, the stronger gravity is. So everything has gravity. I have gravity, you've got gravity, and the planet Earth has got gravity. Now, we're not very big, so our gravity is super weak and nothing's going to get pulled towards us. But the planet Earth is so big that everything sticks to it. So you can try and get away from it, you can jump, but you get pulled back down to Earth because its gravity is so strong that it pulls us in. If I hold this marble to me, I'm not very big, so it doesn't stick to me, but it does fall back down towards planet Earth because the gravity is so strong. So everything happens in space because gravity is so strong. You might notice if you go to somewhere like the moon, you'll see astronauts sort of bounding along and jumping really high. This is because the moon is also really big, but it's not as big as Earth. So the gravity isn't as strong and they can jump a lot higher, but it is still strong enough to pull them back down eventually. What else is in space? We've got the sun, right? And now the sun is huge. And the sun is a really big ball of gas and fire. It's really bright and hot, but mostly it is really big. Now, it's so big that obviously it has massive amounts of gravity, way more than planet Earth. And that's why planets orbit the sun, because the sun's gravity keeps them there. So if we imagine this is a model of the sun, it's not, but we're going to pretend it is, and this is our planet Earth here, right? And the planets are stuck going around and around the sun in a circle like this because the sun's gravity keeps them there, and all of the planets do this. So our sun has got 8 different planets, and it's also got 2 meteor belts as well. And if you have comets and bits and bobs like that. But what's special about the sun that makes it different to a planet is that it gives out a lot of light and heat. But it's not the only sun in the universe. So if we looked up at all the different stars in the night sky, you can imagine they're all like tiny little dots, but in actual fact, all of those are suns as well. They're just really, really far away. So what you're seeing are suns that are just, you can see the tiny bits of light from them because they're far away. And all of these different suns probably have got their own planets that are also orbiting them. But they're so far away that it takes light a really long time to get here, and so they look really small now. But that's a lot of suns if you look up at the sky. So our sun is basically just a star that we are really close to. Now, in ancient times, people would look up at all of the stars in the sky and they would connect all the dots to try and make pictures, and they'd make stories about them, and they would call these the constellations. So there might be some that you know about. You might have heard of maybe like the Big Dipper or some other ones like that, Ursa Major. But we're probably going to talk about them a little bit later on. But for now, we're just going to focus on what other things are in the night sky. So we've talked about the stars, and we've also got the moon. Now, the moon doesn't go around the sun like the rest of the planets. The moon goes around the Earth. So if we imagine, here's our planet Earth again, and we've got a little moon here. Now, the moon does just what Earth does, but the moon goes around Earth, and at the same time, Earth goes around the sun. Like that. And the moon goes around Earth because Earth's gravity is strong and makes it do that. So that's very cool. But moons are not special to planet Earth. Lots of planets can have moons that orbit them. We only have the one, but some planets have got lots more. So that's a very big thing we can see in the night sky because it is so close to us. Now, a lot of people think that the moon gives out a lot of light and glows, but in fact it doesn't. The moon is just really reflective. So the light from the sun travels and then hits the moon and shines off it, sort of like if you shone a torch in a mirror. So maybe give that a go later. Take a torch and shine it in the mirror and see what happens, and you should see the light bounce off of it and shine somewhere else in the room. And that's what the moon's doing. The sun's light is hitting it, and then it's shining to be really bright. So that's two of our things. What else might we see? You might see a shooting star. So a shooting star kind of looks like a regular star in the sky, but it's not. A shooting star isn't a sun that's moving really fast or falling. What it actually is a rock that's fallen down towards planet Earth from space, and on its way down as it gets close, it gets really, really hot as it enters our atmosphere, which makes it shine really bright. And so what we see is a bright dot in the sky as it travels across the sky, catching fire and leaving a little trail. So it's not a big ball of gas like the sun and the other stars. It is just a rock that's really hot and really close, falling down to planet Earth, and that's why they land on the planet and we can go and see them. What else have we got? So we might see something that's kind of similar, things like comets. And a comet looks sort of like this. And they leave a really long trail as they travel through space that sort of flows behind them and sparkles. And this is because comets are often covered in frozen ice in space. But as it gets heated up by the sun's light, the ice starts to melt and leaves a little tail behind it, which is why it has those pretty tails. What other things can we see? The last major thing that we can see in space are the planets. And as we said, our sun has got 8 planets. Here they are. So we start off, we've got Mercury, which is the closest to the sun, and then we have Venus, and then Earth, which is us, and then we have Mars, and these are all quite small planets, and they're all very rocky. And then we have some very big ones. We've got Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, and these are very big, and that's because they're made of gas rather than rocks. And some of these you can also see from the night sky from Earth. And this is because, just like the moon shining, the sun's light reflects off the planets as well. So because they're really far away, they kind of look like other stars in the sky as well, although they're not as far away as other stars, they're a lot smaller. So there's a lot of cool things up in space to look at. So maybe when it gets dark, see if you can look outside and see what other things you can see. But exploring space is hard. So we've seen quite a lot up there, but it's actually really hard to get up to space. Well, for one, because planet Earth's gravity keeps us held here. So we need a lot of fuel from a rocket to shoot us high up into space. But then once we're in space, things are really, really far apart. So it can take a long time to travel from Earth to other planets, or even further. It can take a couple of years to get from here to Mars, and it would take thousands and thousands of years to get to another star because they're just so far away, which can make exploring it quite hard. But we have been to space and done quite a few cool things. So in 1961, Russia managed to launch a rocket, sending the first human ever into space. It was a guy named Yuri Gagarin, and he was the first man in space, so that's pretty cool. That's about 70 years ago, so not that long ago really. And then in 1969, America launched the Apollo 11 mission, which you might have heard of, and that managed to take 3 men, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, all the way to the moon, and they were the first ever people to manage to walk on the surface of the moon, which is really, really cool. And after that, we sent people back to the moon about 5 different times to do some like experiments and science and have a look. But we haven't been there in a long time because, well, it's very hard to get to the moon and we've already done that. So we wanted to spend the money on other science experiments and trying to get to different things in space. but they might try and go back to the moon soon. We've done a few other cool space missions. So we managed to land some rovers on Mars, which are some little robots that drive around and kind of look like the robot from WALL-E. And they're very useful because they can do experiments on Mars without having to send people there and send them food and water and things like that. And so we've got 4 that we've sent there. We sent Sojourner, we sent Spirit, we sent Opportunity, and we spent Curiosity. And now most of them have all been turned off now. They ran out of battery, but Curiosity is still going. And we're planning on sending another one this year. We're going to send the Perseverance rover to Mars, which is really exciting. And I'm actually really lucky because me and my brother have got our names engraved on part of the rover. So our names will be shot off to Mars and will be on Mars forever, which is really, really cool. So now that we've only got Curiosity left at the minute, what he does is he drives around and he looks at rocks and does experiments and sees different things, and it helps people to learn about Mars before they send people there and to know what sort of things we're going to have to send people with, and things like that. But a fun fact about him is he actually has been programmed to sing happy birthday to himself on his birthday every year as he drives around Mars, which is really cool. We've also got some things like some landers that we shot out to Mars, and a couple of months ago there was a fault with one of our landers, but they managed to fix it by programming the lander to pick up a shovel and hit itself with a shovel to fix the problem, which is really cool. So your challenge for this week is to learn about one of the missions to space. It can be anyone you like, but I've attached a few, and a few other cool ones might be maybe the Voyager 1 and 2 missions, which sent cameras out into space to see how far we could travel, and they travelled past Jupiter and Saturn, and now they've finally managed to be the first things to ever leave our solar system, so they've gone further away than anything else we've ever sent. Or maybe our International Space Station, which is a satellite that orbits around planet Earth, and different science researchers and astronauts from around the world go up there to do experiments. So there's a lot of really cool space missions to choose from, and I'll send you some options, and your challenge is to have a look at them and tell me about one of these missions. And you can tell me in any way you like. You can record a video and send that to me telling me some fun facts you learned. You could write a little paragraph about it. Maybe you want to draw a picture and label it, and maybe draw me a picture of one of the Mars rovers or maybe a satellite or something like that, and tell me what mission it is. So I really look forward to hearing about what you guys have learned about these missions. And then in part 2 of our science badge, we're going to look in more detail at each of the planets in our solar system. So there we go. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit.